What's up, guys? It's Flash with tradenet.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Sit Down with Flash. If you're interested in options, you're going to want to watch this interview, so stay tuned. Making $100,000. Characters I met along the way that stepped in and are a big part of my story. So stay tuned. So guys, what's up? It's Flash here at tradenet.com. I'm joined by David. David, the best stock strategy from YouTube. Is that right, David?
Yeah, that's correct.
David, how are you? Thanks for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure.
Perfect. So we'll jump straight in and we'll kind of pick your brain a little bit for anybody interested in your story, how you got started, other things like that. First off, I follow your channel. It's only kind of recently I've started watching it, but you do a lot of kind of technical strategies. Am I right?
Well, what I do is I teach people how to trade stock options.
Sure, perfect. And how did you get started into trading first off?
Well, I worked as an investment banker, and I was always interested in the stock market, and I decided that there was some way that you can use human psychology in order to earn returns that would consistently beat the market. So it was mostly like trial and error, tried a few different strategies, and then I finally found something that worked.
So you just solely trade options. There's no stocks or anything.
Well, I sell options. I try not to buy and sell stock because it's less capital efficient and there's less leverage available than there are in the options market.
Yeah, so anybody watching who doesn't understand an option, I don't trade options myself, but it's a case of you, instead of buying, let's say, Apple, for example, $200 a share, you can get an option for a couple of dollars and it equals 100 shares or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So one contract equals 100 shares of the underlying stock.
Sure. And in terms, now with an option, you don't own the underlying asset like a stock, or do you?
No, you don't. It gives you the right. So we sell options, and that essentially allows us to act as insurance salesmen. So if Apple is trading at around 155, we can sell a put and agree to buy Apple at a price of 140, and in exchange we can collect some money. And if Apple never falls to 140, then we keep that money.
Yes. Now look, I don't trade options. I never have, and I don't understand it very well. It's in a lot of the chat rooms. I mean, a lot of people trade options and they kill an option. So each to their own, and however you do it, they do it. Now, you said you were an investment banker. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I went to Cornell University and I wanted to, I guess, impress my friends and also impress my parents. So I went into investment banking without knowing what it was. And when I was there, I just hated it, mostly because there was so much stress. And on the outside, people think that you're doing so well because you're very young, you're making a lot of money. But when I was working there, I was so stressed out, I was depressed, I was suffering from like OCD. So from a mental health perspective, it was very harmful. I definitely don't recommend anyone staying in investment banking for more than like 6 months. I can't even tell you how bad it was. And that's why so many people burn out. Yeah, like you get good experience, you learn a lot, but so many people who are bankers resort to drug use, alcohol. They're like overly promiscuous with women. It's just not a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah,
and the funny thing was, look at the managing directors. So those are the guys who are heads of the groups who are making like a few million a year. And I remember I was working with this guy, and then this girl called, and I was like, "Oh, is that your wife?" And he said, "No, David, that's my girlfriend." Like, so matter of fact, like while I was there, it's just like it's so accepted in the industry that a lot. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't apply to everyone, but people need coping mechanisms when you're under that much stress and you sacrifice so much time. You need an outlet, whether it's drugs, alcohol, women, or all of the above.
It sounds similar to the scene in Goodfellas where they have the girlfriends and the wives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look, it could be worse. They could have no women.
Yeah.
And so you kind of got into trading because obviously the lifestyle, the job, everything like that didn't suit you. So you decided, okay, I'm going to do this for myself.
Hmm. Yeah, correct. I make all trades from my phone, and I
Your
was doing
phone.
well. Yeah, all of them from my phone from the app. And I figured that I took some of the money that I made previously, and I started trading, and I was doing well. And then only about like 6 or 8 months ago did I start teaching.
Okay, so how long are you trading for yourself?
About 10 years.
Oh, so you're self-employed 10 years, doing options, and then only, let's say, a year ago you started teaching.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I've been trading off and on different strategies for I'd say about like 20 years or so, and then I mean nothing like serious when I initially started, but options for like 10 years, and then pretty much trading part time for like I only started trading full time and teaching for like the past I would say year and a half.
Okay, okay, and it's always interesting. I get asked this a lot as well. But a lot of beginners and people kind of getting into stocks think we'll kind of get to how it's kind of marketed later on. But the question is, like, how long did it take to become profitable? How long was it for you?
It took me a while. It really depended a lot on the strategy. So I've been profitable pretty much like the past 8 years or so, but this isn't something where you're going to just it's not really an effort game because you need the right strategy and you need to make good decisions. So you can have all the knowledge, you can watch CNBC, you can read seekingalpha.com, but unless you make good decisions and you have a strategy that you can replicate over and over that works consistently, then you're not going to make money. Like you can play blackjack at the casino
Mm.
and get as much experience as you want, but that doesn't mean that if the statistics are not in your favor that you're going to be profitable.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I hate that term when people say it's gambling. I look at it like it's not gambling because I would have more fun in the casino playing blackjack if I could.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing that kind of annoys me when your friends or people who don't really understand. Oh, you're gambling. It's no. I would like to go play gambling in the casino now, but I'm not. So yeah, I mean, with me, it was like when I started, there was a lot of different variables kind of come into. I was in a really big job, great job running companies, and I kind of left that, and I just stopped one day. I was like, no, I want to do this, and so I went full time straight away for myself, and that was possibly the worst thing you could ever do. Is just expect income straight away from trading stocks.
I agree. Yeah.
It was like 12 weeks before my son was born, and there was so much stress and everything brought into it. It was terrible, and it took like 7, maybe 6, 7, 8 months to start trying to make money. Like, it was just constant losing money every day, and I think people aren't honest enough about that. Other people say, look, I didn't make money for years, but other people bullshit and just, yeah, I made money straight away. It's like, nah, I don't think so.
Well, in YouTube comments, it seems like everyone is a profitable trader, right? I'm sure you get those comments as well, where everyone's like, yeah, like I make X and X, I make 15% every single month. Like, it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. You would be the richest person in the world if you made that amount like over the long period of time. But yeah, you have to always be honest with yourself and just try to constantly improve and examine why something went wrong. Like why did this trade go wrong? And sometimes it's just bad luck. You can do everything right
Yeah.
and still have a losing trade.
Exactly. I mean, like I take coaching calls as well, and I actually recently had a call, and we were kind of covering some patterns and things like that, and I got asked, well, what if the pattern doesn't work? And I said, well, that happens. Just because they're patterns we trade doesn't mean they're guaranteed to work. And but what we can do is we're minimizing our risk. So we're trying to get into the bottom of a pattern or the break of a pattern, and we're judging it in little things like that. But just because a pattern is a pattern doesn't mean it works every time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's something that's hard for people to accept because they want a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, that's a bull pattern. Well, let's see it turn to a bull. It's not really the case. Kind of some of the pros and cons in trade. And we're going to get into your options as well. I'm quite interested to know a bit more about your options, but kind of some of the pros and cons in trading that people maybe watching this that have no idea about trade and do want to get into it, especially if they want to get into options.
I think the pros are that it provides you with it's relatively easy, so you don't have you're your own boss. Additionally, you can trade from your smartphone. So whether I'm traveling or whether I'm at home, I don't have to sit in front of a computer screen. I don't have people telling me exactly what to do. Just like when I was working in investment banking, there was a lot of BS work. So there was things that I needed to create where it would never be used. But with trading, you are you make a trade and then you're either rewarded or you lose money. So it's like if you make a good decision, you're instantly rewarded and you get that instantaneous feedback. So there's no bullshit, there's no BS when you're trading, right? Like you make a trade and then the market tells you instantaneously whether you made a good decision or this trade is going to be profitable or it's not. It's not a situation where you're working for someone else and then you're told, and then you have to do something that you don't want to do. So yeah, you have the freedom. It can obviously be extremely profitable. I think the negative side effects or the drawbacks of trading are simply people need to be honest with themselves and understand that, just like you said, not everything is going to work 100% of the time. So you can put in all the time and effort, but you need to learn from experience. It is important to have a solid foundation, but you do need that experience, and you have to accept that there will be maybe 4 or 5 days or maybe a month that you lose money. You're not going to make money all the time. And there is an emotional toll when you lose money because the pain from losing money is much stronger than the elation or the happiness that you feel when you're making money. So you always have to factor in some risk controls and risk parameters. Regarding options specifically, I chose that product because it provides you with a high statistical probability of profit. So going back to the Apple example that I used earlier about 10 minutes ago, when Apple is trading at 155, if you agree to buy Apple at a price of 140 and you collect some premium, the chances that Apple is going to fall to 140 is extremely low. So whereas you're only making around 30 to 60% every single year by trading options, the statistical probability of profit is very high.
And I heard of these terms. Now, I don't understand them, so I'm just asking as a question. And people out there looking to get into options, maybe you can advise them on what these are. It's like you always hear, oh, the beta or the data on that particular stock and stuff like that. These are terms that go around. Like, to me, what an option is you buy it, let's say at 150, and you want a strike price of 190, we'd say, for example. Well, the closer it gets to that, the more they're worth. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. You would, and what you're referring to is buying a call option. I tend not to buy options, and the reason is that each option is like an insurance policy. So on your car, you have to buy insurance, and it has an expiration date. So the
Mm-hmm.
insurance company makes money, the insurance company gets rich. But when you sell options, you're actually acting like the insurance company. And the reason is that there's a time element to the option where every day that you hold the option is worth less. So that's the reason why I choose to sell options, because in the example that I gave before, if Apple falls to $145 and you agree to buy it at 140. So let's say Apple is trading at 155 and it falls all the way to 145. If you agree to buy it at 140, you can still make 100% of the profit. You can keep that premium that you received even though Apple fell $10. So meaning that, let's say you were driving your car and you had collision insurance, right? And then let's say like let's say your son's friend dinged the door. So you had like a scratch in the car. If that's not covered under the insurance policy would not have to pay out any claim. Meaning that when you sell options, you can still be wrong directionally. Now, going back to that example, I could sell a 140 strike, is what they call it. I can agree to buy Apple at 140, and Apple can fall from 155 to 145, and I can still keep all of that profit. Whereas if you buy options, if the price goes against you, then you wouldn't actually make money.
So, what you're doing? Putting puts on options, is that right?
Yeah, I sell puts and I sell calls. So
No, when you
in
say you sell them, this is where I'm getting this is where I think I'm losing you here. So you sell them.
so when someone buys them, then they're buying them from someone who's selling them. When I sell a put, that means that I agree to purchase or agree to buy at a specific price. So if Apple is trading at 155, if I sell a put with a strike price at a price of 140, that means that I agree to purchase Apple. And someone would buy at 140. Someone would buy that because they would think that let's say they have a lot of gains in Apple and they want to
Sure.
lock in their gains. So they're scared that maybe the economy or the stock market is too volatile. They would buy a 140 put, which means that if Apple fell to 120, I would be forced to buy it from that person at 140.
Okay.
And then on the call side, if I agree to sell a call at a specific strike price, that means that I would agree to sell that stock at that price. So for example, when Facebook was trading at like $218, if I sold a call option at a price of 220, I want the stock to go down because that means that I can keep the premium, and as long as Facebook stays below 220, then I'm able to keep all that money. So pretty much, just to summarize, when you sell a put, you want the stock to stay above that specific strike price. So if you sell a put on Apple at 140, you want it to stay above 140. If you sell a call on, let's say, Facebook when it was trading at like 218, let's say you sold a 220 call, you want the underlying stock, so in this case, Facebook, to trade below 220. So you're just putting like guideposts on the stock. You're
Sure.
bracketing the stock and saying, I think it's going to stay between these two prices, the upper bound in which you would sell a call and the lower bound in which case you would sell a put.
Okay. No, I think you nailed it with the example and the explanation of what exactly they are and what exactly you do. For new people getting into trading, let's say they're getting into options. Can you give me a piece of advice?
I think that they should learn and they should also practice. So I have free training on my website on beststockstrategy.com. Additionally, they can watch some videos. If they want to practice, they can use a TD Money, I think it's Paper Money, so Paper Money account with
Mm-hmm.
TD Ameritrade. So they can use that, and I think it gives you like $100,000, and then they can mess around with strategies. And I definitely think that incorporating options into their existing strategy that's profitable for them will be a good way to increase their return. So if they're like learning day trading from your channel, then they can also learn how to like sell option premium and utilize that as a way to improve their returns or just to get more experience in a different product.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And look, what I always suggest to them is go out, get an education. I tried to do without an education at the start. It didn't work. And I don't like school, so I don't like the thought of all education. But I think when you have an interest in something and you need it to make money, it's a different feeling. I mean, you jump up in the morning to complete courses and do courses. And then I always suggest like paper trading like that, and just keep paper trading. And there's never enough. Like, you can never do enough paper trading, and like, but you can
Yeah.
kind of it can be misleading as well. Paper trading. I mean, like, I've used this example a number of times. It's when I was paper trading at the start, like, I was making like 5,000 and 6,000 a week. I was like, this is easy, and then I went live and I was losing loads. So it was completely misleading, and it wasn't the case whatsoever. When you're live, it's a different feeling, but you need to understand it, and you definitely need to paper trade. In terms of education, how important is that to you, and who educated yourself? Obviously, coming back from a financial background, is that all you did, or did you invest into courses?
I actually didn't invest in courses. I guess I wish I did. The issue is you're not really sure which person is legitimate and which person isn't, because for some people, they make millions of dollars a year by selling courses, and they actually don't trade, or they post like misleading information. So you really have to do your diligence and get an idea for who you can trust. I just learned basically through trial and error, when I started realizing that I could collect money like an insurance salesman, and it's really just math. There's a high statistical probability of profit when you sell option premium. So yes, there's never going to be a time where I'm going to earn like 100 or 200% a year, but I'm okay with that. I've accepted that, because if I can consistently earn 30 to 60% every single year, then that's good enough for me. But I definitely recommend that people utilize the information that's available to them on YouTube, with people that they trust. They purchase a few courses, because I think in the long run, it'll save you a tremendous amount of money, because everyone thinks that they can do things themselves. But from my experience, they end up making mistakes that experts, who have a lot more experience, could help them avoid those mistakes, and they can probably end up saving like 10 times the amount of money that the course that they would pay for the course.
Yes, no, sorry, I fully hear what you're saying. Kind of someone watching this, and tell me about your course, what you offer.
I offer a pretty extensive deep dive into options trading. So I have an 11-day
Did you
course.
say expensive, or what did you say?
No, extensive,
Sorry,
extensive. Sorry about
extensive.
that. Yeah, I should be more careful with the So extensive mean like deep dive. It's
Yeah, sure.
very in depth, and it's 11 days, and it teaches people who don't have any experience all the way up to people who have a lot of experience. So the course starts slowly. It gets into like definitions. Because remember, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people who might be watching this are a little bit confused, or they might like tune out, is that they don't know what like selling puts or selling calls are like. But if you understood that terminology, just like doctors and lawyers, they use like exclusionary terminology to make themselves feel important. Like each industry has a specific definitions. So we teach you that. We teach you so that way you're comfortable communicating about it. We teach you the strategy, how to look for trades, what watch list you should have, how to set up the trades, when to close out the trades, managing your risk, expectations, and things like which broker to use, and etc.
And you say 11 days. How do you mean it's ran on a day?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I send out each course one day each, one lesson each day via email. And the reason I do that is I tested a few other ways, and I feel that, and it's also more easy for me, but also I found for students that I don't want them to get overwhelmed. And additionally, when they sleep, their actually consolidates the information, and they actually end up waking up and understanding the material better. So then they'll understand the next tomorrow. If I do a lesson today, I'll understand the information better, because my will consolidate the information into long-term memory while I'm sleeping. Then when I wake up the next day, the lesson that I received that day will build upon the previous lesson, and therefore they'll understand the information better.
I like that, because I've done a lot of courses. Okay, a lot of courses, and I review them honestly and put the information out there and what I recommend, what I don't recommend. But always, every course I've done, I do an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. That's it, and I stop because I get bored and I just get distracted and I start doing stupid shit. So I try to keep it, like you said, small. So that's interesting you say that as well. I just thought that was maybe just me.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the learning style. Um, if people want to go over things and re-immerse themselves, they can because they're going to have all lessons after the 11th day. But I found from the experience in the hundreds of students that it works out. It works out very well.
And how long is each lesson with you?
I'd say some of them are relatively quick, like a half hour. Other ones are like an hour and a half.
Okay. And you think that this course, if someone's watching that's interested in buying it and getting into options, this course will be everything in there that they need to know?
Yes, definitely. They don't need anything extra. I'm very fanatical about providing great service and exceeding expectations. So the course also comes with very detailed and responsive email support. So if they ever have any questions, they can simply email me and then I will respond to them in an expeditious and quick manner.
Okay. Now we'll jump away from trading a little bit because um it kind of how do you feel about people marketing it? Let's talk about people marketing the stock market and their courses with get rich quick. Tell me tell me your view on that.
Um, yeah, I mean, I have kind of a radical view. I think that people in general they lump all of these guys together, and I think that there is a problem because a lot of people on YouTube, especially, they worship. Well, worship is like a strong word, but they look up to these guys who are making money, who are selling courses that do not help other people. I think it's very important to be of service and to have good intentions. The
Mhm.
difference between a lot of these gurus is the intent. My intent is to help people, to help them improve their life and to improve their income. I do believe that other people have a sole intent of gaining people's trust, but at the same time, they know that the product that they're selling is not going to help people. And I think that that's because a lot of people they'll engage in like pump and dump, meaning like they'll send out an alert to their followers, and then their followers will jump in and buy it, and then the guru is the one who's actually waiting for that spike in the price from a low float stock, and then they're selling that back to their followers. So the guru is making rich both on the pump and dump and also by collecting subscriptions from their members, but the members are not making money. I think it's really important to just due diligence on the person that you're interested in learning from, and really get a feeling for whether this person has the intent of helping their audience or not. Because a lot of people put out a great vibe in order to gain people's trust, but you're not going to make money with their products. And remember, some of these people are making millions of dollars a year by selling through the education platform. So they're using like fake reviews, fake trades, simulators. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough out there. But if you find someone that you trust, then that's golden. You should stick with that person.
Yeah, no. Look, I agree, and I I haven't really, and I haven't really came across anything like that. I do not understand exactly what you're saying, and you do hear of the terms of the selling it back to the chat rooms. You do hear all this too, um. But everybody I kind of spoke about what my opinion is on them online. And the ones I spoke good is that's my honest opinion, and the ones that I don't, then again that's my opinion. But look, I have no problem anybody like who's a trader and educates people and makes money selling courses. I'd never knock anyone for that. Like if fair play, if you're doing it and you're making a lot of money, well, congratulations. But I just think there's certain people that are just marking it in the wrong way. Like they're just saying you're gonna get super rich and here's how you do it. don't get me wrong, if you know how to make money in the stock market, you will get super rich super fast, but the likelihood of that happening is very slim. It's a hard business to make money in, and if I initially thought that as well, I'm gonna make money straight away. You don't, and I think there's people out there who do, and there's people out there a lot more people who don't. Now, I'm not a negative person. I like to stay positive and the right mindset and stuff, but I just think you need to be patient with it. I think that's a better word I'm looking for, is to be patient with the process, and don't think it's all going to come up next year. You're going to be on a beach trading from a laptop. I don't think that's the case. It takes a few years to get to that level.
I agree, and I also think that people are a victim to their own desire to be greedy. So they think that they have like $2,000 saved, and they think that it's realistic for them to be able to turn that $2,000 into $200,000. And they actually think that the likelihood of them being able to do that is very high. And it's not. Like it's going to take a lot of time and effort to take that $2,000 and grow it into like, $5,000 or $6,000. That would be amazing. But the weird part is that a lot of people who take 2,000 and turn it into 5,000 or 6,000 in like a year or a year and a half, they wouldn't be satisfied with their returns. So they're going to take even more risk, and then that's going to cause them to lose money. So I definitely think that the marketing is a little bit shady, because it gives people false hope that they can turn a few $1,000s into like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain ways I think that the way of trading can be done. So let's, for example, if you have a $5,000 or $10,000 account, let's just say, and you like to keep it at that, and anything over that, then you pay yourself. So let's say if you made $3,000 this month, you're at $13,000 account. Now you have 10, and so you keep it at the 10, for example. This type of returns, I think, with that style, yes, I don't think people out there saying like a $5,000 account or $5 million account. You do hear stupid shit like that. It's possible. I mean, anything's possible, but it's tough. Let's just leave it at that. It's not an easy thing to do, and the market is not an easy thing to accomplish, but it can be done.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, David, just before we kind of wrap up, let me in the lifestyle of David here. Give me a day in the life of yourself.
Honestly, I'm a very hard worker. I know that a lot of people say things like, "Oh, because I'm trading and making a ton of money, that I bought like a $5 million house and I drive a Lambo." Like, no, I learned from a very early age from working as an investment banker on Wall Street that people, they tend to buy those type of things in order to fill in like deep-seated insecurity in themselves. So like the people who were actually like, now this isn't everyone, because a lot of people do enjoy expensive things, and you should reward yourself if you work very hard. But I have noticed that the people, the bankers who had like the super expensive cars, they were doing that in order to like impress women and impress people that they don't even like. As far as me, I work all the time. I'm very healthy. I do believe that trading is a mental game, so you need to make sure that you eat well, that you exercise, that you do things for like detoxification, like going to the sauna. You don't like go out and get drunk. You feed your mind. You're healthy emotionally. I think that stuff like that is very important. So I work a lot, and I just take care of myself. And sometimes, as far as what do I enjoy, I travel occasionally, like maybe twice a year, and that's pretty it. I try to keep it very simple.
Well, it's interesting that you say it, because like I said, everybody who I have on the show, the reason why I have that question in is because I think it's important to see how different everybody is, and you're gonna get conservative people, you get flashy people. I mean, but especially in trading, people have this interest of, oh, I wonder what type of lifestyle they live. Like, let's say if I'm out on a night out in town and I'm talking to someone, what do you trade the stock market? It's like all of a sudden their eyes light up and they think you're a multimillionaire standing there. It's not the case. But I think lifestyle is important to kind of look in and give someone a glimpse of a lifestyle into a person. But look, yeah, David, sorry, go ahead.
So one last thing on that. I think everyone has struggles. Everyone. And I was actually reading this thing just an hour ago on Facebook where this beautiful girl that I used to have a crush on, her father died today or yesterday, and her father was just 56 or 58 years old. And she's like an incredibly beautiful, like Russian blonde girl from New York City. And you would just look at her, and from an external appearance, you would think that like, oh, her life is wonderful. She carried herself very well, and she just lost her father. The reason why I'm saying this is nothing in life there's never going to be easy money, there's never going to be easy success, and you have to dedicate yourself to being the best person that you can be, and you're not competing against anyone else except for yourself. So as long as you work hard, you have good habits, then you should be fine. And yeah, the best thing about having money is that you don't have to worry about small bills. But at the same time, I know people who have made like 5 million a year, and they spend their money on dumb shit, and then before they know it, their expenses are more than they're making. So yeah, you have to be careful and have realistic expectations, and just take care of yourself and love yourself.
David, I think you put it very nice there, and it was a good example of exactly. I know exactly what you mean, and I fully understand where you're coming from there. Look, David, I really appreciate you taking the time for us. I will have David's link for his YouTube and his course in the description below. So if you do feel options is your thing, or you want to join his channel, I will put it in the description below. David, once again, I want to thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.